title and erase memories of last year.
It's happened, Detroit!
The city's hard working. You know, the Detroit Pistons is hard working.
You believed in this team, and they have delivered.
In a city like this, you know, you can't talk about it. You know, you got to be about it. You know what I mean? You got to show up and get it done.
A third NBA World Championship.
So I think we really, you know, symbolize hard work and just going out there and playing together as a team and, you know, having fun doing it.
An alley-oop jam for Tayshaun.
And so far this season, the Pistons are having plenty of fun. But even with the league's best record and the fastest start in franchise history, Detroit still hungers for respect.
When people don't pick you, you've been to the finals 2 years in a row, and you're not the glitzy team, you're not the glamorous team, you don't have the big superstars. That plays right into exactly what Detroit wants. It's a team that basically has a chip on its shoulder.
The Pistons are also focused on their #1 goal for the regular season.
It's not about winning 70 games tonight. It's about winning each game that you can win so that at the end you have home court advantage all the way through the playoffs.
Tim backing him down.
Last June, Detroit narrowly missed out on a chance to repeat.
And that is a Manu Trace.
The Spurs have dethroned the Detroit Pistons in a classic 7-game series.
It was tough. You know, it was definitely tough walking off the court, you know, Game 7 because we were so close. You know, it's like you play the last possible game to lose. You know, it was hard.
After you play a series, you go 7 games, and you know you let it slip away at the end, and you know you want it back so bad. You know you can't wait to get back there.
That fueled our fire. You know what I mean? And we play every game this season, saying we get back in that position again. You know, we'd like to think it'd be a little different.
One big difference, the man who guided them to a championship, Larry Brown, is gone. And a new coach is on board who has never led a team to the NBA Finals.
542, okay?
I'd like to introduce the next coach of the Detroit Pistons, Flip Saunders. At some point, you have to add to who you are. Not necessarily change, but add to who you are. And I thought he could add something to who we were that better than anyone else could.
I talked with Chauncey a little bit, and after talking to Chauncey and him telling me really how the players were, how close they were, how unselfish they were.
I'm saying about how we do around here, and you know, different guys, what they like. This is what we do. This is how it is around here. You know what I mean?
You know, then I said, you know, this is going to be a situation I think that can be very good for where I can help them and they can help me.
What we want to try to do in this situation is Chauncey scored.
But as training camp opened, a giant question mark hung over Flip's head.
Coming, and we want to try tonight to try to see if we can get a quick 5-second call or get a steal.
The knock on him was that he couldn't win the big game.
Kevin's right here.
During one stretch, Flip's Timberwolves had 7 years of bad luck, suffering a first-round playoff exit each and every time.
Sorry, Doug right here. 3 lines in tight. Sheen, Ben.
Now he takes over a team with a championship pedigree, 4 All-Stars, and high expectations.
You know, there is a lot of pressure on Flip because this is a team that's ready-made. And this is a team that, you know, guys are in their prime of their NBA careers, and you can't do anything short of probably winning a championship or at least getting to a finals would be a disappointment.
So for the Pistons, despite the great story they've written so far in the first half of the season, it's the ending that matters most.
Great ball movement by the Pistons.
And with Saunders' history of postseason disappointment, only time will tell if he's the right man for the job. NBA Access with Ahmad Rashad on ABC, brought to you by Sprite and Thirst, reminding you to obey your thirst. And the Spalding Never Flat stays inflated 10 times longer than traditional basketball. As training camp began, Flip Saunders looked to put his stamp on the team, and one thing that helped was having a point guard who already knew his system. Chauncey Billups played for Flip in Minnesota, one of many stops for Chauncey during his early years in the league. He finally found his place in Detroit, leading the Pistons, as we mentioned earlier, to the 2004 NBA championship. Now, this year, Chauncey has arrived as a first-time All-Star, and he's even being mentioned, better late than never, I always say, as a candidate for MVP.
With the third pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Chauncey Billups from the University of Colorado.
My past and my travels has been like nobody else's that I've seen. You know what I mean? I came in the third pick in the draft. Before too long after that, I dipped all the way down to the bottom. You know what I mean? People wrote me off as a bust.
The Celtics were already disappointed because they had lost out on the Tim Duncan lottery, so there was little patience for a mistake-prone rookie point guard.
There were some dark days where I was like, dang, I mean, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. So there was some humbling times for me. My darkest day probably was when I was playing in Denver, my hometown. I got traded. It was like just a throw-in. You just throw him in it. You know what I mean? At home, for them to think of me like that, that was a real tough time for me. Things like that could break somebody down, man. At that point, it wasn't even self-doubt. It was motivation, man.
There's only two ways to go. You give in and say, okay, they were right. Or you say, I'll prove it for the rest of my career that they made a mistake.
I was like, all right, so that's where it's at right now. That's where I'm at. I gotta do it. There ain't no choice for me right now. I'm the only one really believing it. I gotta do it.
Billups had trouble shaking his label as an underachiever, but after bouncing around to 4 teams in 3 seasons, he arrived in Minnesota, where he meshed with the team's star and the head coach.
Flip's system really benefited my game, and that was the first time that I was able to play and just hoop. You know what I'm saying? Just hoop, period.
I think the biggest thing was that Kevin Garnett was there, and I think KG really helped him a lot as far as just to feel wanted. And because of that, he got to the point where he knew other people really start believing in him, and once that happened, his career really just flourished.
I felt like that year in Minnesota, you know, I grew so much as a player, and I felt that I was ready to run a team. You know, I was ready.
There was someone in Detroit who felt the same way. Joe Dumars was confident that this unheralded point guard could help the Pistons win.
I thought that he was one of those hidden gems that just needed a chance, needed someone to believe in him. And, you know, we went out and signed him to a 6-year deal the first day of free agency and said, you know, here's the ball, it's yours. Lead this team.
And, I mean, I swear to goodness, he told me, but what we gonna put together, we gonna win a championship. We're gonna be an all-star one day. I got big plans. And I believed him. And for me and how my career had gone, man, I never heard that. You know what I mean? I haven't heard that since I was getting recruited in high school. So it was good to feel wanted again.
You got 25 years in the league. You don't need to get on that bench press, leg press, hit these stretch cords, man.
And I took off, and I just haven't looked back ever since, man.
Johnson's keeping this, folks.
Says why not? He's hitting shot after shot this year. Another one. Oh, you got me, Jimmy. Chauncey, you are crazy. How in the world do you do that again?
Billups earned a nickname, Mr. Big Shot, and then sealed his place in NBA history by winning the Finals MVP award. He sees this recognition as a reminder to everyone who gave up on him.
I always just felt like when it was over, it's over. Ain't no need in me coming out saying, look at me now. It ain't really no reason for that. But at the same time, I know they was watching that game. I know they was watching me hold that trophy up, you know what I mean? And that's enough fulfillment for me.
I think the biggest thing with Chauncey is just maturation. When Rick Carlisle was here, Chauncey learned how to be that clutch go-to guy. Nails it! When Larry was here, he learned how to become a better defender and get others involved. And now with Flip, he's got the freedom that people were afraid he would take advantage of. Chauncey's a much more complete player, and he's a legitimate MVP candidate.
Let's go, Chauncey. In tight, 3-man weave down.
Now that he's reunited with Saunders, Billups is hitting his stride. Flip has complete confidence in his point guard.
He's an offensive guru. There's nobody out there that can improve our offense better than Flip Saunders. I knew that. So I knew that it'd be a perfect marriage.
And it's only taken a half season with Flip for Chauncey to realize another dream.
It's everybody's goal to be recognized as one of the best. I think making an all-star game, for me, just kind of validates what I always felt. I felt like I could be one of the best, and now everybody else feels that way. I'm very proud of it, very proud.
So many people gave up on him, and he's such a good person, and he never lost his class and never lost his dignity, and so I'm probably more happy for him than anyone else because I think he deserves it.
And it just comes from my upbringing, man. You know what I mean? And the way I was raised, and my mom and pop just always telling me that I got to work for everything that I get. Nobody's going to give me anything. A lot of people, they come in the league, and they get that helicopter ride all the way to the top. But my road was a little different, you know what I mean? And I can appreciate my road. I'm proud of what I went through. I'm proud of how I handled all of that. I climbed my way back up to the top of that mountain. I climbed on my own.
NBA World Championship.
T-Mobile is now the official.
Go have some fun playing basketball.
In places you've never gone before.
Bye.
Bye.
Revealing stories told by people who live the NBA dream.
There's nothing that you can do in life that gives you that kind of thrill.
On NBA Access with Ahmad Rashad, that's me, Saturdays on ABC. Check your local listings. Every great team has to start with a cornerstone. And with the Pistons, it is Ben Wallace. He arrived in 2000 as an unheralded role player, but since then, he's become the heart and soul of the team, and he's done it through hard work. To show you just how far he's come, Ben is the first undrafted player ever to start in the All-Star game. He's a 4-time All-Star, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and a blue-collar hero in the Motor City.
Tim Duncan against Van. Duncan turns it front, Van slaps it away. Ben Wallace just does everything, keeping the ball alive in the offensive glass, tipping it away and chasing down Aaron. Behind by Ben. What a play by Big Ben. Blocked by Ben. That's it. Big Ben's alone at the top. Number 3 is number 1. He's the Pistons' all-time shot blocker.
Ben Wallace, the cornerstone of Detroit's big city basketball powerhouse, has roots in an unlikely place, rural Alabama.
Whitehall, small town, you know, big family atmosphere. Everybody know everybody.
He was raised by a loving mother as the second youngest of 11 children. Ben had to fight for attention, and he was not destined for stardom, even in his own family.
You know, I always remember watching from the sideline. My mom asked, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "You know, they won't let me play." And she was like, "Get back out there and tell them I say let you play."
Always had to rebound and, you know, run out the loose balls, get steals, and do those things if I wanted to play. You know, my older brothers, they weren't going to pass me the ball.
Of all the lessons that Sadie Wallace passed on to her children, perseverance is the one that Ben remembers most.
She always encouraged you to stay active, stay after it, you know, never give up, and don't be afraid to venture out and you know, try something different.
Wallace took that message to heart as he set out on his wandering basketball journey. After attending a small Division II school, he wasn't drafted by an NBA team. He began his pro career in Italy, then spent 4 uneventful seasons in Washington and Orlando.
I wasn't going to give up my NBA dream because I didn't get drafted. Maybe I got to, you know, do it the way I've been doing it all my life.
Ben Wallace, second-year player out of Virginia Union.
I got to do it the hard way. You know, I got to take the long route.
Off the back of the rim, Wallace again. Wallace all over the place, and he knocks the ball to the outside.
Ben's skills were unappreciated until 2000, when he landed with the Pistons as a relatively anonymous part of the trade for superstar Grant Hill.
Grant decided to leave. It was just a matter of trying to get something in return.
Being traded is not a bad thing. It become bad for you when you can't be traded. Nobody wants you. So, you know, going to Orlando and then getting traded here to Detroit, that's the mindset I had. As long as somebody still want to give me an opportunity, they still must be doing something good.
Detroit seemed to be Ben's last stand, and he made the most of the opportunity. The team didn't win many games, but the diehard fans recognized his effort. Wallace slowly developed into a Detroit cult hero.
There's certain things they do to prepare for practice. There's certain things they do to prepare for a game, and finding what that is per player. You know, it's all relative. I mean, here's Ben Wallace right now. Obviously, if you look at his body, you can see this man does a lot of preparation. He does all the things to get himself ready. He's one of the first guys in the gym. He's one of the last guys to leave.
Ben with a rebound. Great hustle by Ben Wallace. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh! Hamilton to Ben Wallace.
Ben has beat adversity so many times. This is an undrafted guy, you know, that played in the same organization with me in Washington, played a couple years, then went to Orlando, then came here. And at 6'7", 6'8", man, he does unbelievable stuff.
You know, when Grant Hill was here, this was a finesse team. And as great a player as Grant Hill was, the city never fell in love with Grant Hill. Ben Wallace came here, and he kind of represented what a lot of people in the city like to think they're about. So they took to him in a heartbeat, even when we weren't winning games here.
Where we from? Detroit! Where we from? Detroit! What time is it? Game time!
Detroit's dirt under the fingernails, grinded out type of place. And you look at Ben's game, that's his game to a T.
What a rejection by Ben! He just threw that basketball away!
There's nothing really cutesy about Ben's game. He's a lunch bucket type guy.
With Ben as the driving force, the Pistons began to gain momentum, and a winning team was assembled around him. Ironically, the man who could have been voted least likely to succeed is a perfect fit for this team.
I thought he'd be a guy who could get some rebounds, be physical presence around the basket, block shots. I did not know that he would change the complexion of our team.
Oh, that's a game-saving block by Ben Wallace.
He gave us the personality that we have. I did not know that. I'd be lying if I sit here and I said, oh, I knew that all the time. No, I didn't.
Now it's time for the Radio Shack Fact of the Week. The Fact of the Week brought to you by Radio Shack. Stop by Radio Shack to pick up all the accessories you need. In many ways, the Pistons are a team of cast-offs. 4 of the 5 starters were traded away by other teams, while the 5th, Tayshaun Prince, was the 23rd draft pick. And that gives them a common bond with their head coach. After a decade in Minnesota, including 8 straight playoff appearances, Flip Saunders was fired last season. He got a second chance in Detroit with a Piston team that was already championship caliber. But Flip found a way to take them to an even higher level.
The Pistons keep marching on to a beat of an entirely different drummer. 33-5 as they get ready for the Minnesota Timberwolves on Tuesday night.
As Flip Saunders and his Pistons took their league best record into Minnesota in late January, it reminded him of how much has changed since he left town.
Who's on D? Who's on D? KG can take it. Come on, KG in a row.
10 years earlier, Saunders began his NBA coaching career with the Minnesota Timberwolves, the same season that a brash but talented 19-year-old entered the league. Over time, they developed a lasting bond.
See, KG, hey, KG, it's a little bit different down here with the big guys down here. Huh? It's a little bit different with the big guys down here.
Flip and our relationship is very similar to a father-son relationship.
He pressures you this way, then just reverse pivot that way. Okay, just try that next time.
A lot of different moments that I can just recall right off the back. We grew up together in this organization.
But growing can be painful. Even though Flip's Wolves made the playoffs 7 straight seasons, they were bounced in the first round each time.
You know you can go out and compete with these guys, and you go out and you get beat. Just so frustrating.
The 8th playoff appearance was the charm. Flip led his team to the Western Conference Finals, but ultimately the same outcome.
It's always tough when you lose. We've come a long way from losing 7 straight times, but now that you get a taste of it, you just want it that much more. Thank you. See you in October.
The following fall, Minnesota got off to a miserable 12-20 start. Frustration mounted, and Saunders' fate was sealed.
We've asked everybody to come down this afternoon to announce a change we're making to coaching. Flip Saunders will be stepping down as head coach. And effective immediately, Kevin McHale will be assuming those responsibilities.
You know, in 10 years, you give a lot of heart and soul, you know, to an organization, to a city, to a team. And, you know, there's pain, there's frustration, even though I got fired. And some people said, well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that. The things I did and how I approached things I thought were the right way.
He was at a crossroads, and so were the Detroit Pistons. With Larry Brown gone, the team knew it had to do something decisive. One thing Flip and Pistons president Joe Dumars had in common was the feeling that their next move had to be perfect.
When Joe called, you know, my son said, Dad, that's the right one, you know. And it was, you know, I think when I sat down and talked with Joe, you know, things happened, boom, boom, very quick.
He said, I'd like to have this job. And so that impressed me there because I knew he knew what he was stepping into. That told me all I needed to know, that the pressure was not going to bother me.
The pressure that the media and outside people can put on a coach is never what the pressure a coach puts on himself. You know, when I took the job, a lot of people thought I was crazy because they thought, you know, what can you do? The team has gone to the finals 2 years. They won it 2 years ago. They were 5 minutes away from winning again. Where can you go from where they've been?
That's it. Let's go, Blue.
He said, okay, here's what I have here. I have a great team. Now, what can I tweak to make it better? Well, how can I put my stamp on this without changing the core of their identity?
Okay, right here, Blue Group. Dale, Alex, Ben, She, TP, Rip, and Chauncey. You guys are blue. Other group's white. Let's go free throw, press offense. Here we go, press offense.
He's added to us exactly what we needed. We needed an offensive firepower to be able to beat teams 110 to 90 instead of 93 to 90 every night.
Flip's big thing is the aggressiveness that this team plays on defense. Let's turn around and play it that way on offense.
Early on, the pressure was on Saunders to make sure his new system took hold. The Pistons couldn't afford a long adjustment period. Any stumble could cost them precious home court advantage in the playoffs. But the veteran team responded immediately.
Pistons don't let teams hang around anymore. When they get teams down, they have the offensive wherewithal now to bury them.
Red in traffic. Blocked by Ben. Ball puts out to Phillips. 2-on-1 with Hamilton against Williams. Rip. Scores.
When a team is winning at this pace, everything seems effortless. Flip's presence has relaxed a group of athletes feeling enormous pressure to succeed.
Chauncey, you over here cashing in your IRA or what? You're cashing in your IRA or what? Retirement plan or what? Okay, I'm just checking. Here we go.
There's no question that the players here, you know, as far as the Pistons, my team now, those guys opened up to me when I came in with open arms and accepted me into their family.
Flip Saunders has integrated himself on a team that was set. No chemistry issues, no personnel issues, and has made them better, which a lot of people think they couldn't be any better than they were.
I'm happy to have Flip. And that's why we win like we do, because, you know, nobody cares about who get the glory. You know what I mean? Everybody just all for one cause, and that's to win.
When Flip Saunders made his return to Minnesota, his career had come full circle. He was once again king of the target center, this time as a Piston.
Who's going to beat the Pistons? They continue with one of the best starts in NBA history.
Flip fits the personality of the players. They look at him and says, he's been down the same road we've been down. He's not been the chosen one. He's not been the guy that's on the covers either.
Pistons win by a bunch at Minnesota. Joe Dumars congratulates Flip.
So far, Saunders has passed every test in a dominant regular season. But he, of all people, knows that history is written in the postseason, and his biggest challenge still awaits.
For as good as the Pistons are, for as much as the offense is opened wide up, that's the one unanswered question that can't be answered until you get deep in the playoffs with the Pistons is Flip up to that challenge?
NBA Access with Ahmad Rashad on ABC, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. It's in the...
Sure, I think over the past 4 years or so, being here, being in this culture, being in this environment, he's learned to appreciate winning.
And I think we all just love and enjoy playing with each other and being around each other. So, you know, you don't get that on every team, you know, especially at this level. Coastville beats Colorado, Coastville dogs.
They don't want to see us. They don't want to see Park Hill, I'm trying to tell you.
Like I said, I always keep the people that I've been around with my whole life around me. You know, I want everybody to see this dream. You know, this is a dream come true. I want everybody to be a part of it.
All the values that Rip learned in Coachville have allowed him to thrive in his new home of Detroit.
I'm not just representing Richard Hamilton. I'm representing the whole 11,000 people in Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
He's our star. That's right. That's right. That's the right star coach.
You come from a place where nobody treats you any differently than the next man. And to make it where I'm at today, you know, that allows me to know my roots and everything like that because I love them people. And I tell them, you know, in my mind, I'm not the only one that made it. They made it too.
Together and through basketball stresses education and promotes healthy living. The players helped students in Soweto by opening a new reading and learning center and taught youngsters valuable life skills and well-being through sports.
All 5 Pistons starters deserve to be all-stars, but if they had an all-star team for public address announcers, Detroit would certainly have a representative there as well. We introduced him to you a couple of weeks ago. His name is John Mason. His player introductions and cries of Detroit basketball have made him part of the show at the Palace. He is so entertaining that we decided to give you even more access as we follow Mason through his typical game day.
Detroit, I've been hearing you talking all day. Now we'll find out what you really have to say. Make me feel this.
Keep holding for us, okay?
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you today?
In the afternoons, John Mason is a radio personality on the Detroit airwaves, but you might recognize him from his night job.
Out of bounds, Detroit basketball. Detroit basketball. That's all you say. He's my biggest fan. I love Detroit. I mean, this is a city that starts from the bottom and finds a way to the top. You'll find multiple people who have been involved in multiple things. And when you start to put all those pieces together, you find a very great whole, which is why you have that great love for the Detroit Pistons. They represent that. And that team effort, that fits the city. It's the Prince. So I'm glad to be a part of that. Tayshaun! Prince!
Like most of the Pistons, Mason's journey started outside Detroit. But this Cleveland native fell head over heels for the team during its first championship run.
My greatest interest with the Pistons came when John Sally was drafted. His attorney at the time wanted to scoop the media and give me the interview. We interviewed, and he took an extreme liking to me. That's when I met Isaiah, Dennis Rodman, Rick Mahorn, Lindsey Hunter. You know, it's every little boy's dream.
Mason's yearning to become part of the team became a reality in 2001 after a meeting with former Piston great and current team executive Joe Dumars.
Piston announcer for the Palace? But I had to meet Joe. You know what he told me? He said, Mason, I'm going to let you do this because your character has been unblemished since I've known you. And it just made you really see your whole life flash before you and make you understand the importance of being a good person and how being good can pay off. Detroit! Let's play some basketball! I was telling my teenagers, I said, you know what? I've got to find a way to try to make this special. I said, I know they don't give a lot of play to arena announcers. I don't know what I got to do, but I got to find a way to make this happen.
Early on, it was a case of unfulfilled love, as Mason was an acquired taste.
Fans did not like me when I first started. The guy who I replaced, he had a real arena voice. The first person to tell me that I was doing something special was Charlie Ward. He saw me in the tunnel and he stopped me and he said, man, you're doing a good job. You got some things that they're going to catch on to. He said, keep doing your thing.
Detroit basketball! Detroit basketball!
Detroit basketball! That's right.
Now, it's a marriage made in heaven. Like the players, Mason has found a home in the Palace.
It's special to see somebody whose mind is just always doing something. And he is so wonderful for the community, for Detroit. And I can't wait to see him do bigger things. Baby, he mean business.
to punch up Rick Mahorn and talk to him before
What, he got a minute phone or something he couldn't hold on?
No.
I got a minute phone, huh?
That was Mason.
Hey, Rick, the NBA is here today.
They need to come on up to my crib. You know better than that. Sure it does. Why do you want to hear that no more? That's overrated. That's old.
This is Mason. All right, that's it for today. It's Palace time. Where would you rather be than right here, right now? That's me in Detroit. Well, I mean, look at my life. I mean, I'm on the radio, and I got the best seat in the NBA for the best team in basketball. All right, it's game time. Pistons! Piston fans, stay up on your feet. Time to meet and greet our ballers representing the Detroit Pistons.
NBA Access with Ahmad Rashad on ABC, brought to you by Sprite and Thirst, reminding you to obey your thirst. And Radio Shack. Stop by Radio Shack to pick up all the accessories you need.
The Detroit Pistons have been a model of chemistry and consistency. Since the arrival of Rasheed Wallace 2 years ago, they have had the same starting lineup for every single game. We've talked about the players and the coach, but to truly understand their success, you have to look at the man who put it all together. As a player, Joe Dumars learned what championship teams are made of. He starred on the gritty and unselfish Detroit teams that won back-to-back titles, and now as team president, he's rebuilt the Pistons in that very same image.
We're a nose-to-the-grindstone kind of club, and you better be willing to lay it out there on the floor. Joe Dumars came in, he said, this is the kind of guy I'm looking for. You couldn't have a better person than Joe, who sort of embodies all of those things to sort of be the point person in your organization.
Dumars' roots with the Pistons go deep. As a two-time champion and a Finals MVP, he has earned a permanent place in Detroit history.
The Detroit Pistons, the NBA champions of the year 1989.
Now, as an executive, he's had a hand in building another Pistons powerhouse by recruiting hard-nosed players cast off by other teams.
Just because they didn't fit someone else's team's needs or personalities, I didn't think that it had any impact on who we are, what we're trying to do. When any athlete is giving up on one of two things is going to happen. He's going to give in and quit, or it's going to fuel the fire. And what we've tried to do is bring guys here whose fire has been fueled by that. We have Ben who does that. We have Chauncey who does that. We have Rip who does that. I mean, you know, we have a lot of guys who do that, who show up every day, and they want to make a point every day.
One point they're trying to make is that the team is capable of repeating the championship success of 2004 without the help of Larry Brown.
I give LB a lot of credit for that, but we got great players, and combine that with his abilities and what he meant to our team, and we won it all. Yeah, he deserves a lot of the credit, but so do we. You look at, you know, different guys on this team's background, what they've been through to get here, and you know, that's kind of like a common denominator. I do believe that that's why our bond is so strong.
We all know where each other is at on the floor. We all have each other's back, you know, and we all love each other, not just on but off the floor too.
Guy right here, I mean, since we brought him.
We just got a bunch of grounded guys that respect one another, that get along with one another, and you know, for some reason, we just click with each other.
Everything we do it as a team, and that's something I see here and don't happen every day.
I've never seen a team work so hard and have fun at the same time. I never thought that could happen.
You have to create a culture and an environment where guys enjoy coming in, win or lose. Enjoy coming in, enjoy being around each other, and know that there's one common goal.
For the 2006 Pistons, their goal is clearly defined. Clinch home court advantage through the playoffs to help them reclaim the NBA title.
We know what it's like to win it, and we want it back.
These Detroit Pistons are some proud team.
Look at Rashid.
You go back last year, they gave up some games early to lesser teams, and they didn't get home court advantage. And they realized that probably, in their minds, cost them that series. They know that they can't afford to let games, in the middle of the season slip away for no reason.
I think we want it more than anybody right now, and we just got to continue to come out and play that way and continue to keep that hunger and keep that drive.
Miller to the hole. Bad slide it away. He crushed it. Phillips for three. They do it again.
You guys feel like still have a chip on your shoulder from last year?
When you make it all the way and play to the last final game, and you don't get the win, this year we're on a mission.
Everyone in this business knows that it's not a given every year that you're going to be in a position to win a championship. So when you have a team that's good enough to win a championship, the urgency is to get it done.
With their all-out style, that's exactly what the Pistons have set out to do. For proud players like Ben, Chauncey, Rip, and Rashad, who have found a home in Detroit, they'd like nothing better than to add to their championship legacy.
We don't have to have starters in the All-Star games. We'll just show up and play. We'll take our guys against your guys, and let's see what happens.
And now, after all their success, the Pistons have earned one more distinction. They're the first team to send 4 players to the All-Star game since the 1998 Lakers. So when you watch tomorrow night's game, it might look a lot like the show you've just seen, 4 Pistons on the court and Flip Saunders on the sidelines. Enjoy the game and be sure to tune in tomorrow when we follow the learning curve of 2 rising stars, Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, including exclusive footage of their All-Star experience. We'll see you then, and we'll leave you with Chris and Dwight, as we always do, all-access style. So long, everybody.
We can just give it to you if it helps. We're going to take Chris Paul.
Chris, I tell you, we're very excited about it, man. We're happy that you're a Hornet. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
I cannot wait. I'm excited, Coach.
Forget about fatigue. You're not tired. Let's go.
Non-stop. Unbelievable. Just dying.
Howard, 7 block shots in the game.
I want to be the best, so I know that if you want to get something accomplished in life, you got to go out there and earn it.
Don't be lazy on your squat. Squat underneath it. Squat down. Come on.